Good morning, everyone. It is a very warm, sunny um, southern Nevada morning today. Yeah, it is. Well, it's now starting to reach into the hundreds. So, yeah, you can kind of imagine how miserable things are here in the heat. But it's a dry heat. And I know people say that all the time. And it's like, yeah, there's no difference. But well, once you get used to the dry heat, I'd rather be in a dry heat than in somewhere where it's hot and humid. Yeah. All right, let's check in with people today. Let's see who's here. Hello, Miss Donna Hoskin. And we have Miss Christy Smith here. Hello, hello. Linda Faust is here. Hi, Linda. And well, you ladies were I was chatting with you earlier. Jackie is here. Hi, Jackie. Hey, Sue. Happy Saturday. Let's see. Cindy Milheim is checking in. Hi, Cindy. Whoops. Sorry, my chat just moved. Okay. Why doesn't it ever stay in one spot? Let's see. Christy Smith. Hello, hello. So we got a few of you in here this morning. Okay, I'll switch to the screen. Hello, hello. Okay, so what am I gonna work on today? This was kind of a last minute decision. Sorry, I'm a little disoriented because I had a little bit of a computer issue, so hopefully this stays on. And my internet provider actually said that this is going to, or since I'm one of the high users, doing broadcasting or live sessions and also doing Zoom calls, which by the way is later today. They said that they're going to start slowing down my internet speed, so we'll see what happens with it. But okay, what am I going to work on this morning? This is a work in progress that I've had for a few years now, and I figured, you know what, I don't have anything else planned, so I might as well start doing this project. But I wanted to make a test block of this before I start doing anything or cutting into the good fabric. So if you've never heard of this company, this is a pattern booklet. Actually, it's a combination of 3 pattern booklets, kind of spiral bound into one massive book. But I've talked about this company before, and well, I'm going to talk about them again because there's a project in this book that I've been wanting to do, which is actually this quilt here. And it's been a number of years. I kept kind of thinking about it, and then I said, you know what? Today's a good day to actually get started on another project. Yeah, I know. So this is called Early Riser. The company is called So Kind of Wonderful. Let's see. Is it on here? I know I can't get it. Can I get it? There. So these are the authors of the book. So Kind of Wonderful, that's the name of the company. These 2 ladies are, I think, partners in this business. And what they created was this. So you can kind of see it better. Let me put it on here. This is what they call the quick curve ruler. This is the mini version, or the QCR Mini. And what it does is it helps you make junkered paths blocks. I got this ruler years ago because, well, when I was first starting to quilt, I was very scared of sewing curves. And when I tried to sew a curve or junkered path block, it didn't come out very good. Let's just say that. But for some reason, this ruler helped me out, or helped break out that fear, because it kind of matched my style of sewing, where you make the block oversized and then you trim it down. I tend to like that style. So I bought this ruler and made a quilt out of it. Actually made 2 quilts out of it. So let me switch back to the quilt you see behind me is actually one of the quilts that I've done. It is based on a block that is in this book here. And it was a project that I was doing a couple of years back. Was it last year or the year before? I can't remember. But it was something that we were doing on our monthly Zoom calls. The actual quilt that's in the book is a little bit different. So let me see if I can find it. And we kept teasing. We kept making comments about the fabric choice on this quilt because, well, you'll see why. So this is the quilt that's actually in the book. And we kept making comments about that background color because it's not the most pleasing color in our opinion, but to each their own. So the quilt that you see behind me, it's based on that quilt. I did modify it a lot to make it look like this. But when I was flipping through the book, I wanted to, I've been wanting to make this particular quilt, which is a bunch of tulip flowers. And I've been wanting to make it for a number of years. So I figured today is the day we're going to start this project. Good morning, Diane. Good morning, Kim. Hi, Chris. So now I started cutting some of the fabrics, but I need to, and I'm just right now making a test block for this because, well, I just want to see how this actually, how this block gets constructed. So I need a 5.5 inch strip here. And we'll see if this block actually makes it into the actual quilt. It might. But most of these fabrics just came out of my scrap stash. This one in particular, if you've seen the video that I did a couple of weeks ago, maybe last month, talking about managing your scraps, you'll know that this particular fabric came out from a pile or my collection of fabrics that I call the, well, to put it bluntly, I call it the what the hell stash, because I tend to sort my fabrics according to the color, and this particular fabric has all the colors in there, so I don't know where I would classify this, so I just put it in the what the hell pile. And a lot of people got a kick out of that. Okay. Scraps? No, not scraps. What do you call this? Trash. Waste. I don't like to waste it, so I just keep a bag of it. And one day I'll use it for something. stuffing, maybe a pet bag. Well, if I had a pet. All right. Hi, Deanna. Chris says she's sitting outside with her legs beyond the awning and then are getting rain drips. Ooh, rain droplets on them. Oh. So we had a weird event happen here in Southern Nevada, well, Southern Nevada, Las Vegas, in which it kind of caught a lot of us off guard. And I had no idea that these events happen here. So on, when was it? Thursday or Friday? No, Thursday. Yeah. Right in the middle of the workday, I was at work and I was just working on the computer like normal. And we started to feel the building just started to rumble. And I thought maybe a jet, because where our office building is or where our warehouse is, it's right in the flight path of the Las Vegas International Airport, where planes kind of take off. And I thought that maybe one of the jets was flying a little too low. And so we started to feel the building just kind of rumble and shake. But apparently, we had a 4.0 earthquake happen. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not in California here. So I thought, nah, that can't be an earthquake. That's got to be a jet flying over a little too low. But yeah, we actually had an earthquake here in Las Vegas, and we could feel the whole building just shook. And so, I'm used to earthquakes. We have earthquakes in Hawaii growing up. Of course, California is known for earthquakes. And so we were kind of like, oh, okay. The building started to shake, and then after it was done, I was like, okay, there we go. Next. But it was quite interesting to see or to experience an earthquake here in Las Vegas. So they don't happen very often, and they're not so, how would you say, like damaging. But it was just very interesting. So I think I cut these a little too short. Okay, so these squares here are supposedly 5 inches. I think this one got cut a little short off here. And the QCR Mini ruler, to make a drunkard's path block, very, very simple. Now, it can only do one size, unfortunately, so it doesn't have the ability, well, most drunkard path templates can only do one size anyway. But it's as simple as cutting out a 5-inch square, and here I am, just taking a rotary cutter. There's a slit right there, which I am just gonna follow that curve. Whoops. That's right, I do need a smaller blade. Oh, where did my other rotary cutters go? I forgot you can't use the 60. You can only use the 45 on this one. Here. I use this. Yeah, I could kind of start to feel the blade rubbing up on the edges there, so I'll just, there. And here I have my pieces. So there's your curve, and this is the matching curve that'll go against it. Jackie says she has a rainbow miscellaneous bin for fabrics like that. There was a 6.0 quake in Hawaii last week. Yeah, that's true. It did quite a bit of damage, but understand that earthquakes in Hawaii are caused by volcanic activity, whereas in earthquakes here on the mainland USA are caused by tectonic plate movement. And so I guess the level of damage that can happen or the veracity of it, not quite the same. Okay, so with this, hello, Miss Gloria. Okay, so I'm just going to fold these in half so I can line up the centers. Now, this is one technique. If you've never sewn a curve before, this is one technique that people often do, is they find the center points of each of the pieces. They will match it up there. I'm going to use a pin for this, just for demonstration purposes, and then I'll show you a different way of how I really do curves. And because this fabric here, or actually both of these fabrics, they're cut on a bias, so you can stretch it, but don't overstretch it, and you can put your pin. This is kind of a recommended way of doing it, especially if you've never done curves before. But I do it differently now that I've gotten, or I've done a few blocks. So I'll show you that right after this. Put a pin here. And this is going to look weird, but it looks like I'm doing acupuncture on the fabric here. And even if you don't line it up perfectly, it'll still come out pretty decent. Once you get the hang of it, though, once you get the hang of this, these blocks don't become such a big fear obstacle. I'll say that. Put it that way. Okay. Slow and steady on this wins the good quality block. So now I'm coming around, just watching it. The biggest thing about sewing curves is you just don't want to make sure you don't sew in a pucker, because as you can kind of see here, it's kind of ruffling a lot. But just take it slow. And then as you come up to each pin, just remove it out. And try not to stretch it too much, but I know that's, well, you're already on the bias and the fabric is already stretched, so that's kind of a moot point, but just do your best at it. Okay. Collect all the pins and dump them back in there. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. Here's the other way of doing it. I don't pin. Well, this is how I actually do it. I don't pin it at all. I'll just kind of place the fabrics down, and I'm going to eyeball it where when I place this piece here, this is the piece that has all the stretch in it. So when I place the piece down, I'm going to put the hat or the quarter circle on the bottom. I'm going to place this one on the top, and I'm going to leave a leeway of about a 1/4 inch or so there. And as you'll see me when I'm starting to sew this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate with one hand. I'm going to rotate this fabric as I feed it through. But with this piece of fabric, I'm going to kind of manipulate it so that the edges come close together. So instead of pinning it down, I'm just kind of like scissor. It'll be like scissors going like that. So I can kind of speed through this, but normally I usually do speed through it, but I'll take it slow for this time. So you can kind of watch the technique. The thing is though, I do have a tendency of stretching it out a lot. So I do have to watch that, but it comes out pretty decent after a few rounds of practice. So as I am sewing, I'm turning this fabric this way to match the curve, and I am kind of manipulating this green fabric to go in the opposite direction, and magically the two edges or the two edges of the fabrics kind of meet together, and I'm just letting the machine pull the fabrics together and just kind of making that 1/4 inch, or trying my best to keep a 1/4 inch seam. Now the sewing takes a bit of practice, and there are times where my 1/4 inch goes way off. So this is the one I pinned, and it's not a perfect alignment, but it's pretty decent. And I will just finger press this for now. Okay, again, this here is on the bias, so watch how you stretch that out. And this one, so this is the one I just went free, no pins. This is the one that I had pins on. Okay. And I will press these now. There we go. So it's you can still kind of see the curve. Sometimes it comes out not as a circular or a circle shape, but sometimes it comes out as an ellipse because I stretched it too much. Okay. So the ruler helps you cut out the individual pieces, but it also gives you an opportunity to trim down the block. And so on the ruler, there are various markings in which, again, it's oversized and you match up certain markings on the ruler and you can trim it down. So I started off with 5-inch squares, and what I will end up with is a unfinished curve block or unfinished Drunkard's Path block that is 4 inches. So here I am trimming it down. Okay. And now I can just use this there to make a 4-inch block. And there's my block. We'll do it again. So there's a marking on the ruler in which I'm going to align certain points right on the curve. There and there. Whoops. And now we'll trim here. Trim that. Flip it around. And since I know this is going to be a 4-inch unfinished block, I'm just going to mark or look at the 4-inch lines here and here. And trim it down. There. And there. And there's my 2 blocks. It's still not easy sewing curves. It takes practice, Rosie. It does take practice, at least with this ruler though. I mean, again, you make it oversized and then you trim it down. So a lot of the templates that I've seen that make this block, you kind of have to be a lot more exact and a lot more precise about it. But with this ruler, even if you don't sew or cut the curve accurately, you still kind of have an opportunity, because it is oversized, you still have an opportunity to kind of trim down the block to the size that you really need. And with the accompanying pattern booklets, you know, there's a whole ton of patterns that they create, and different things that you can, or pattern booklet just basically gives you ideas as to how to use the template. So for me, this was actually a very good investment. Okay, now I'm not supposed to, I think I'm not supposed to use this. Well, let's see. Let's refer back to the instructions. So for okay. So now with this piece, I'm supposed to do the same thing. And we will cut. And I will cut the other curve on this end. Am I going to make it? Oh, yeah, look at that. running right on the edge of my teeth. And this is all the waste. Okay, there's that one. And then I'm not doing that. Okay, then I do have to cut out the other part, so I'll just take 2 of these. Do the same thing, lining up the fabric with the guidelines there, and we will cut. Now I'm actually going to just use this part. I'll save these because I don't know if I'm going to need it later. I might. And that'll go like that. Kim Burris says, I have 2 Drunkard's Path template pairs, one large from MSQC, one small from 35 years ago. I'd much rather do the big one. Yeah, the bigger the easier is what I would say. Donna says, you make it look so easy. So how much of a hangover? Which piece? I've never done a Drunkard's Path. So on this particular, sorry, whenever I use this ruler, again, when I lay this piece, they call this the part, this is part A, this is part B. When I lay the part B piece over, if you want to just eyeball about a 1/4 inch, you're good. You can do a little more, a little less. It doesn't have to be exact. Sometimes I even go as high as 1/2 inch, and then I'm still able to wrap it around on this corner, but the suggested overhang is about a 1/4 inch. There, so I will sew this on. I'll anchor it to get started, and then here we go with just kind of making the whoops, I'm way over that 1/4 inch. Oh, okay, I'm gonna stop there for a second because I saw that the fabric was puckering and I was gonna sew a pleat in it. So stop, and then readjust it. Now I can go back again and start going. And just take it slow. So I think on this one I have more than a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but it should be fine. Yeah. Yep, that should be all right. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay. So I wanted to try and test, see if this works. So I noticed that they added this feature. I know some YouTubers actually already started using this, and they're probably using something different, but I wanted to just test this out. It's a pole in which it just kind of asks the question about whether or not you would want to participate in a sew along on some of these lives, where the idea was that we could all get a free pattern from one of the fabric companies. We can all download it, and then every time we're on or we have a live session, we all can work on it together, or you can see me struggle through it or not. But if you would like to see it, or if you think that's a good idea, you can put in your vote by either entering a 0 for yes, number 1 for no, and a number 2 if you're on the fence about it. And we'll see who wins, or which option wins. This only can take place on the live chat though, so if you are watching the replay on this, the votes don't count, unfortunately. Okay, so this one I think is a lot better. I haven't done this in a while. It's like riding a bike. Once you get it, you get it. Ah, bonjour Nadine. Okay, so what's so different about this particular block? Let's see. Wait, no. Like that and like that. Okay, we'll do 4 inches here. And we'll do this and like this. And we shall do like this and like that. So it's supposed to go like that. I know that. Okay, let's see, what are people... Hello, Miss Claudia. I said lots of bad words when I tried to make that blog, but that was a very long time ago. Okay, Ginger. Yeah, I think you're not alone in that. Okay, so Rosie, she's asking, what is the book title? Let me find it again. So, Many Wonderful Curves. Again, the company is called So Kind of Wonderful. And the book matches with this template. This is the QCR... Whoops. This is the QCR Mini ruler. And it goes along with this book. You can actually go onto their company website, sokindofwonderful.com, and they have a whole ton of other patterns that use this same ruler, and those patterns are not in this booklet. Now again, the booklet, it is not spiral bound. It's a regular paperback when you get it, or if you order it. I spiral bound it because I actually have 3 of their pattern books. So that's one. Here's the other one. And then there's a third one here. All of these books kind of use either just this template or this template in combination with one of their other templates. And I ended up buying the 3 books. And instead of having 3 separate books, I spiral bound it and put it all into one massive book. So, yeah. By the way, this video is not sponsored by So Kind of Wonderful. I'm just mentioning it here on the channel. So, sorry, I don't have any coupon codes or anything. But, you know, when I do find something that I kind of like, I'll talk about it. Okay. So that gives you an idea as to how to make these blocks. And I will use those. And I know I need to make more of these, so let me just... These are the 5.5. No, these are 5 inches. Yeah. So 5-inch blocks here. I'm just going to make the rest of these, because I'll probably use them for this quilt. And I can sew 2 more. Oops. Didn't quite get that there. I'll save that. And we'll do these. And after a while of doing this, you can kind of speed through this a lot and do it pretty quickly, and it comes out pretty decent. I saw your pride showing. Hello there, Miss Patty. And Christy says she spiral binds many of her favorite books. Yeah, that's actually a great idea. Especially in a situation where you got a number of books from the same company and you want to kind of keep them together. Like those 3 pattern booklets kind of center around the same set of templates. And so it's easier for me to just keep it in one massive book rather than 3 separate books. And it's easier to keep track of where it is, too. Okay, so I'm supposed to actually press it in towards the circle. Okay, I gotta watch that because I forgot that's on the bias. Do 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 do. Okay, let me press these. And we'll trim these down. There. That's a little better. There's that. That. Okay. And by the way, if you are curious, the pattern booklet actually, you know, one of the ideas that the pattern booklet has is that you don't just use solid fabrics like this. It actually has a few patterns where you'll do the same technique, but it's using half square triangles. And you can actually create some pretty interesting looking blocks. So like, let's have a little play. You could do something like that. Or this is kind of, yeah. So this is actually the block that made the quilt behind me, in which you do kind of snowball the corner here for the center. And you'll lay it out in, well, you'll repeat this 4 times and you'll kind of do a quarter turn to make the entire flower. It's a huge block, by the way. I think it measured like 18 inches or so. Yeah. Let's have a little play with this though, because we can do that. There's a few patterns where you do something like this, or no, how does it go? Oh, well, yeah. Good morning, Sandy. Kim says Missouri has 2 seasons, winter and summer, no happy median. And Kim says those would be neat to use string blocks cut into those shapes. Actually, I think I did try that once. Do I have the block? Well, it's buried in a project bin somewhere. But if I find it, I will post it. Okay, back to the actual pattern though, because I think I might actually not have the correct amount of pieces or the correct things. Let's see. So I got those 2 pieces made, got that. Okay, so I'm supposed to have 2 squares. Did I cut the right? So there's okay, I'm supposed to have another square that is much larger. Nope, that's too small. Oh well. Okay, well, I'm going to continue working on this block during the Zoom call that we are having. So, speaking of which, later today, in about a little over an hour from now, there is going to be a Zoom call. And some of the Zoom participants, or some of the regular Zoom participants, are here in the chat, and they can tell you that sewing on Zoom and the discussions that we have, quite interesting and quite fun. That's why they keep coming back. So, so there is the Zoom. I will be on live, hopefully, on Tuesday, in which hopefully by then I'll have the entire block completed for this particular quilt that I'm working on now. So, hey Janice, glad that you made it here this morning, but we're about to kind of close out here. So let's see what the results of the poll was, and let's see if it actually did work. Okay, so stop. It didn't do a that is very interesting. I'll have to see how this works. Because it did not account for. Okay, it actually didn't count the votes, but I can kind of review the chat later to see how many voted. But I see a lot of people said yes. Quite a few people said yes. Okay. And I kind of had a feeling that most people would. So that is something I will think about. Okay, people. This was kind of a short one. There's a lot of things that I got to get done today, but I wanted to just kind of come on live again. And I'll have to work out how that poll thing works. So again, there is a Zoom call coming up later today. I shall see those of you on Zoom. And if you want to join in on the Zoom call, just send me an email to treasureheartcreations@gmail.com. I will get you the information. However, just understand that once the Zoom call starts, or once the Zoom starts, I don't get to receive emails, or I might not receive your email. So if you want to join in, you got to send it to me now or soon. Okay. Have a great rest of your week. And I will see you hopefully on Tuesday night. And I'll get this block done and put pictures, or get this test block done and put pictures on the Treasure Heart Creations community tab and on the Facebook group. So thank you guys so much for joining me here today. I know this was kind of a short one. I usually go a little longer on a Saturday, but yeah. All right, take care. Have a great rest of your weekend, and let's all get out there. Let's all create something. Mwah. Bye for now. Where's the button? Where is the button? There it is. Oh, just in time too.